Question number 17 on your Test 1 review gives you a portion of an ordered pair chart, and underneath it gives you 4 equations, and it asks you which equation best models the data in the table. Let me take you to my paper and show you how I would work this problem. Alright, now before we even worry about these choices, what I want you to understand, let's hone in on a little bit on the chart itself. This XY table, a lot of times you're used to seeing it written down the paper rather than across the paper, but you need to realize that it's really the same chart. What this means is when the X value is -1, the Y value that will come out should be -5. When the X value that I put in is 0, the Y value that I get out should be -2. When the X value I put in is a 2, the Y value that comes out should be a 4. When I put in a 3, I should get out a 7. When I put in a 5, I should get out a 13. You with me? That's what the chart means. So the best way to decide which of these models works is to just sort of, plug things in. So let's look at just sort of process of elimination. If I look at the first one, when I plug in a -1, I put a -1 in. That's under a radical, that's under a square root, and that's going to be a real problem because putting a negative number like that under a square root gives you something that's not a real number. Now later in the course we'll learn how to deal with those, but right now that's not even a real number. So forget this. Let's try this. Let's try to see what happens here. If I plug in a -1 for X, 3 times -1 would be -3, Y equals -3, but we know that's wrong because Y is supposed to turn out to be -5 when I plug in a -1. So forget this. So basically you're going to just eliminate them by trial and error. Let's take a -1 again. 3 times -1 is -3. -3 plus 2 is -1. No, it should be -5. Forget it. Now by process of elimination we know the correct answer is D, but let me just make sure you understand why. If I plugged a -1 in for X, 3 times -1 is -3, minus 2 is a -5. Perfect. If I plug in a 0 for X, 3 times 0 is 0, 0 minus 2 is -2, and so on. If I plugged in a 2 for X, 3 times 2 is 6, 6 minus 2 is 4, and I promise you it works for these two also. So the correct model in example number 17, or question number 17, is this one, choice D. Y equals 3x minus 2 is a model or a function that models the data in the table that's provided.